All right, hello everyone. This is Leo back again to talk about the Evercade because the other video got many comments, and one user specifically made the most important question that I did talk about in the video, in the last video, but I didn't talk about it in depth, and so I decided to answer that question properly and talk about it in this video because the question is, what's the best alternative? That's what it is about, right? Like that's the most important thing about this entire thing. It's like, well, what can I do? Like what can I buy or what can I use to play these games if the Evercade is not good enough or if it's crap or whatever. Now, again, I did talk about this, but not clearly enough. I will correct a few things that I talked about, or im- not that I completely said something. Maybe I did say something wrong, but not from the part of the video that I watched that I wanted to correct. But let's go into this. Okay, so there are many different ways to see this question. One is, what alternative would you give to the Evercade Alpha, right? What's the alternative to the Evercade Alpha? That's much easier to answer because I think the Alpha is crap. Okay, I think that's dumb. I think that's pointless. I really think that's a bad product. This right there, I think that's a bad product. The Evercade VS or the Evercade EXP, not so much. I don't think that's bad. Okay, so let's get into that. Let's get into what I was using because I haven't been playing video games too much. I've been making these videos almost as much as I've been playing video games, and I haven't even been making many videos, as you can see. And what I've been playing is Fallout 4 that has nothing to do with Evercade. But I have decades of experience with both old school games and especially with emulation. I I have all kinds of emulation machines, be it, the ones that are officially licensed or not, and hardware emulation, hardware simulation, software emulation. I've done Raspberry Pis and I've done emulation on PC, and I know a lot about this stuff. And also these done products, and I did have an Evercade that I don't use anymore. So, okay. So, let's start with a couple things that I said about the handheld stuff. And I'll do my criticism of the handheld. I'll start with this because there are tons of alternatives to the handheld, right? But there aren't. So if you want a handheld and you want to buy these cartridges, if that's what you want a handheld and you want to buy these cartridges, then the Evercade EXPR, it's fine. It's fine. I mean, why am I annoyed at this? Okay, because there's a company called Ambernick that they do very similar products to this, but they don't have cartridges. You just dump ROMs, or they sell them with illegal ROMs, but you can dump your ROMs or steal ROMs, whatever, right? And you can fill that thing with ROMs and then have uh, about what the Evercade is, but it's not legal. So if the cartridges are important to you, this is okay. But if the cartridges are not important to you, Ambernick does it better. And the Ambernick has a screen that's 4 inches, 4 by 3 IPS, 480p, right? So Ambernick can get a 4 by 3 screen on their console, on one of their, on a couple of their freaking handhelds, and one of them is about the same as a same form factor as this, but it has a proper 4 by 3 screen that's bigger. So If they had put that screen on the Evercade EXPR or at the XP, could be the EXPR, right? Because this is the second time they do this handheld, right? They had the EXP and now they're re-releasing this, and they still missed the opportunity. Ambernic had already come out, I think, with the ARC when the EXPR was announced, right? They could have gotten that screen. It's bigger on the vertical aspect, right? And it would be a little bit thinner, probably very little bit thinner from left to right, and you would not have these huge bezels on top and bottom, and you'd have like a 4 by 3 proper here with more real estate, because this is 4 by 3. Sorry, this is 4.3 inches diagonal on a 16 by 9. A 4 inches 4 by 3 would be like this and this and this, and the area, if you just calculate, okay, you'll see that 4 inches is more area than 4 inches at 4.4 by 3 is more area than 4.3 inches at 16 by 9. So just better, the entire console can be thinner, but it doesn't have to be shorter. It doesn't have, I don't think even these bezels on top and bottom are that bad, because this console, and again, the Evercade, the original Evercade, something that I've played a lot, it's very comfortable to hold. And it is very comfortable to hold because of this space that you have here from top to bottom, right? You need this. Without this space, it just doesn't get comfortable. And that's why, one of the reasons why this Evercade is pretty good. But again, Ambernic has an alternative and has a screen that's about as good, a little bit better because of the aspect ratio. It also has a Sega style D-pad. It has 6 face buttons, also 4 triggers like this has, a much more powerful processor in there, and you can just dump, steal ROMs and put it in there. So again, I understand that people want to buy the cartridges. I'm not against the cartridges. So if you really want that, get the EXP. It's fine. It's not terrible. The emulation is not terrible on the Evercade. This is also important that I talked about this. I want to make it clear. The emulation is not bad. You can get better emulation. If you carefully craft your own Raspberry Pi, or if you get an Ambernic device, the correct device, you need not a lot of knowledge for that. But if you have that knowledge, if you're willing to build that knowledge, and you should, because that's part of the hobby, in my opinion. But you do whatever you want. I'm not telling people what to do. I'm just saying, if you want to do that, and it's not a nasty thing, it's not a bad thing, it's a good thing to learn emulation and learn how to use it and learn how to set it up. It's part of it, it can be a healthy part of the hobby, and it just gives you a lot of knowledge about the intrinsical ways these games work. It was because of emulation that I learned everything that I know about video signals, because I wasn't using the original video signals, but I needed to understand them to emulate them properly. So it's a cool side of it. And if you want to get an Amber, if you just want the best handheld experience you can get, then get something like an Ambernic. It's better than the Evercade. But if you just want a plug and play thing and you want to play those cartridges, the Evercade is good enough. It's not crap, okay? It's not garbage. It's not something. It's not like you're gonna have a terrible experience. Not with the new one, I'm pretty sure. The old one, that's the problem. Like, if you bought it back in the day when there was only the Evercade, like me when I bought it, that there was only the Evercade, that there wasn't even the VS. I came in early on this thing. Well, that one is pretty crap. The screen is crap, and so that fucking ruins the experience. This one is IPS. This one is 480p, and this is something that I wanted to make clear, because in the other video I said they didn't fix the screen. I mean, they should have gotten an even better screen, but they did fix the screen in the sense that it is IPS. Before it was TN, so the colors are much better and the viewing angles are gigantically better, and also the resolution is increased. and it does make a difference. You'll get much less shimmery at 480p of this new screen as you would on the 272. I was just taking a look at this exactly. 272p of the old TN screen. That was crap again, garbage. So you don't need an alternative. If you really want to use this ecosystem, then do it. You know. Now, if you really want to go deep into this, and I talked about that in the other video, just I brushed upon it on the other video. If you really want to go deep and you really want these cartridges, but you still want to have the very best experience, you have to hack yourself a cart dumper, because you can dump Evercade cartridges. And then you can put them in an Ambernick. So you can have everything, but it's going to be a lot of work. But you can have the best of both worlds in that sense. Instead of just pirating the game, you can buy the game, you can have the cartridge, you can collect the cartridge, you can collect even the Evercade EXP and buy one and leave it in the box sealed to fill your shelves, and you don't have to use it. You can buy something better that you open and you actually play. I don't know. I don't get it why people would do that kind of stuff, but I'm just saying it's an alternative. I'm answering the question, what are the alternatives? These are the alternatives. But I'm fine with this one. Okay. Same thing, the VS. I'm absolutely fine with the VS. I think it's good. I was back in the day telling them, you should probably make a console. I think there should be an Evercade console, right? And they did the console. And I have very little gripe with this. It's 1080p, right? It has the ports that it should have. I haven't tested it. I don't know exactly, right? How much lag it has, how much less lag it has. I don't know exactly everything about it. Okay, I didn't buy this because, again, I looked at the specs of this thing back in the day, and I saw everything that was being said, and I asked them, hey, just a second, don't you have per system button mapping? And they said, no, it's just one button mapping. You plug a new controller in, and you can map the buttons of that controller. And then it will apply this button mapping, this general button mapping that you did, to all the games, all the systems, everything, all the cartridges. And I was like, well, but just think about it. If you have a 6-button Mega Drive controller and you do what you're saying, the mappings will be all garbage for the Mega Drive games. If you map it like A, B, X, Y to be that diamond pattern, right? On a Super Nintendo controller. And then so that your Super Nintendo games work on that. And then you go to play a Mega Drive game. It's not gonna use the 6 buttons of the Mega Drive controller. That's absolutely fucking stupid. How can you have that? Like, that's insane. You need to have, at least for Mega Drive or for any systems that are 6 or 3 buttons in line, to have an alternate fucking button mapping for it. Like, it can't be true that you don't have that. And they didn't. They literally didn't have it. You'd have all fucked up Mega Drive. And there are tons of Mega Drive games in their collections. So I said, like, fuck off. Like, I'm not gonna buy this. There's no way. Like, this is fucking garbage, right? And then later on they added it, but I didn't buy this. I said, you know what? Fuck this. But they added, I don't know how good the button mapping is, but they added that. If you don't want to have a 6-button controller, right? A 6-face button controller, or you don't care about this, fine, okay, whatever. But I do care about that. I do have that. I did use that. I have my Mr. FPGA, which is one of the alternatives to this. It's not an alternative to this, but it is, right? Factually speaking, like, in a way, like, it's stupid to say this is that Mr. is an alternative to this, because, I mean, how can you compare a Mr. FPGA to this thing? Like, the Mr. FPGA is a billion times better. You can't even start, right? But the Mr. FPGA, you have to dump these cartridges if you want to play them. There's a guy who was doing that. Andy was doing that. I'm not sure whether his channel, he just deletes his channels. He makes a channel, he makes the best videos ever, and then he deletes everything every couple months. He's insane. That's why he's so good. But I'm not sure whether he deleted his Evercade stuff, but he was doing that. He was even plugging in the adapter and reading the freaking cartridge straight from, without even dumping like the ROMs. He was reading the cartridge straight from the from the mister, because you can do that. You can open the ROMs straight from the cartridges if you want to. I mean, if you want to, if you don't want to dump them, I mean, but okay, this is fine. This is fine. I mean, you have decent video signal. You know, the scaling, there are scaling options, but even if there aren't, like, it's not. I don't know. I don't have this, but I don't know that the video scaling is garbage and everything. Like, I know for a fact that some of the games that are in the collections for the Evercade, if you just buy them on Steam, the scaling is fucked up. There is lag, and the emulation is garbage. And the Evercade is better than the Steam version. I've talked about that in the other video. So I'm not saying this is crap, right? But if you want the best emulation for a home console, in my opinion, right now, get a Mr. FPGA. It's expensive right now. There are people coming out with alternatives that are supposedly gonna be cheaper, so maybe wait about that. Take a look at Taki Udon, uh, or search for Mr. FPGA, D10 Nano, D10 Nano clone and whatever. Wait around a little bit, but just let me tell you, if you want the best emulation experience ever, the Mr. FPGA is worth the price. It's very expensive, but it's worth the price. I've been messing with emulation again on my Lenovo Legion Go. It's okay. It's fine. You can play the games, but it's just there is a difference in quality. Like, you can't get that quality just without a very powerful computer and without going through a lot of fucking work. Like, you have to put in the hours and put in the work to get emulation to that, you know, close. You can't even get that quality, but you can get close to that quality, but you'll have to work for it. The Mr. FPGA, sure, you have to install. It's pretty easy to install the stuff, and then you run update all, checking the boxes that that do everything, because it doesn't do everything out of the box, but and then it does everything. You just need to put the ROMs in the right places, and the ROMs for the arcade games, it even downloads itself, which is the hardest part. It's fucking amazing. Just get a Mister. I've been saying that for years. It's never been more true. Still, get a Mister. It's worth every single penny. You won't need anything else except for emulating stuff like PSP, which I do, PlayStation 2, and the higher level, because the higher level stuff works amazing on the PC. The Lenovo Legion Go plays PSP and PS2 amazing. I have no complaints. It's better than the original. Like, I'm happy with PlayStation 2 and PSP. No problems. I don't need anything else. Lenovo Legion Go for the win. And even at 8 watts, the lowest power profile, it still plays them. And it's still very good. No problem. And then you go play Super Nintendo, and you're like, this is not ideal. It's crazy that it's easier to emulate PlayStation 2 than it is to emulate Super Nintendo. But it's logical that it would be, because it doesn't matter that it's quote unquote easy. It's a completely different architecture. It's a completely different way of creating the image, of creating the game, of everything is completely different, right? And a PlayStation Portable, a PlayStation 2, it's basically a PC at this point, right? Like, it's the same kind of stuff, it's the same kind of frame buffer, it's the same kind of processing that is going on. Not a Super Nintendo, right? The Super Nintendo really needs to be emulated carefully with tons of different structures and that are very time sensitive, and so that's why it's so unreasonably hard to emulate old consoles. And then the newer consoles, that if you needed to emulate a PlayStation Portable to the level of precision that you need for a Super Nintendo, there is no way we would be able to emulate that, right? but it's just not as sensitive because it's a different way that the entire flow of the information goes, and the entire process of these consoles working is different and not as sensitive. So it's fine. Okay, mister. If you want a substitute for this, get your hands on a cartridge dumper and get a mister. Otherwise, get a Raspberry Pi, pirate all the ROMs. It's still gonna be, you're gonna have to work for it, but you can get better emulation on a Raspberry Pi than you do on the Evercade. But if you like the freaking cartridges, I don't have a problem with the VS. I really don't. I think it's fine. I think it probably works good for the people who are not super freaking crazy about the perfect emulation, right? I think it's cool. No problem. Um, this is the guy I had the gripes with. Here is where the problem really started for me, because this arcade machine is so fucking flawed and stupid to me, and maybe it isn't, again, because if you want, look at this, it looks just like a Street Fighter arcade machine. If that is cool, then buy this. You want a Street Fighter arcade machine, buy either this or a arcade one up, the stand-up one, right? But I think they have also these tiny bar top ones. Okay, that's the alternative. You buy, or buy this. If this is if you want this, then buy this. What I was angry, what I was criticizing harshly is that if you want to play Street Fighter the best way you can, this is not it. I mean, just in seconds, the gripes that I have with this is a sharp edge here, right where my wrist is gonna go. This is gonna hurt my hand. If I need to have my hand floating here, it's also gonna be crap. Here, even my hand might be brushing this side. Why? I need more space here, just a little bit. Doesn't have to be a ton of space because I do the cup hold. I put pinky under, but still, I need some space for comfort, right? And I need a little bit more space to this side here, or the Mega Man on this side here, right? Just to be clear. And here I need more space here, and a slant is good. Coming up to this and then having instead of a sharp edge here, going slightly down at a, I don't know, 30-degree angle like this, right? Like this, and then dropping down and still having everything rounded off. Everything needs to be rounded off. No sharp edges. It's a fucking gaming controller. You get it? So what's the alternative to these, Leo? Well, it's obvious. You get the VS and you get an arcade stick. It's compatible with many arcade sticks. Just inform yourself, see what arcade sticks are compatible with the VS and get one of them. Probably the 8-bit do. They go out of their way, mostly on Evercade, to be compatible with the 8-bit stuff. So get the VS. There is this guy. I'll try to link his video in the description below. Right? He's an arcade. He's a Evercade fan, and he made an arcade machine. He got his VS, and he made this huge fucking cool arcade machine. I mean it huge. I think he put a fucking 32 inches screen in the fucking arcade machine, which is absolutely overkill and a bad idea in my opinion. 24 is plenty for an arcade machine, but it's his choice, it's his machine, it's his eyes. I don't have his eyes. I don't know what he needs, right? I mean, these things are personal choices. But he made the arcade machine and he puts the yeah the VS in there, right? And so that's the alternative. Get the VS. Get the VS. And but just a reasonable thing if you want to play these games. How? Listen, just think about it. It's not that hard. How is World Championships running on Street Fighter? How is World Championship? You know? it's arcade sticks. that's that's world championship. People sit with an arcade stick on their lap, or or their stand. Some people like arcades so much that they bring a little table, they put the controller on the table and they stand, right? You can have, or you can sit and have a little table if you don't want to have the thing on your lap. You can get a small screen or a computer monitor or something plug. It's gonna be full of cables and everything, yeah, but it's not gonna be crap. Like there is no perfect solution that's universal for everything, right? But I'm just saying, if you're fine with this, if you're fine with sharp edges digging into your palms, 4-inch screen at 480p, and you know, and just this nonsensical form factor overall, you still need to plug this thing into an outlet, right? It's not a portable system of any kind. So if if this is what you want, I'm not saying that you can't have it. You buy it, I'm fine with it. Just buy it. I don't want to buy it, and I think it's nonsensical. Why? Because there is no way I'm gonna play Street Fighter 2, any of them, or Alpha, any of them on this arcade machine when I have a Mr. FPGA and an I have a dozen different arcade sticks, and every single one of the arcade sticks that I have is better. No, sorry, there's a couple ones that I have that are not better than this, because I have an ASCII ware PlayStation 2 arcade stick that's not that good. Um, and maybe I think I got rid of the other ones that are not as good as this. The ASCII-ware is arguably not as good as this. All the other stuff, the Namco, the PlayStation 1, uh, the legendary little gray one with yellow buttons. I have one of those, and I have the uh, I again I have then I can give you a list, right? From 8-bit though to Venom. What's the brand of that? I have the I have Horis, I have Mad Cats, right? And I don't have a Comba because I sold my Comba way back, way back. But there is no way I'm gonna play this. No way. If I have, and the emulation of the arcade games on Mister is is indistinguishable. Like it was tested side to side, even on the time that transcurs. Like it doesn't lag behind or forward. Like even the fucking slowdown is almost perfect. I'm not sure it's perfect, but even the slowdown is almost perfect. It's actually very good. Okay. Uh, there is something with the image. Oh, okay. I was looking at these spots here and I was thinking, what the hell is going wrong with my screen? But no, these are like the holes for the screws. Okay. So that's what I think about the alpha specifically. That's the problem that I have. And what I was focusing on the other video was not, well, what can you get instead of an alpha, was what should Evercade have done? But my answer to what should you get instead of an alpha is, well, if you're being reasonable and if you want to play these games and if you actually like playing fighting games and arcade games with good controls and you like an arcade stick, buy an arcade stick. Just buy an arcade stick. Get a Hori or get a who's making arcade sticks? Hori, Razer, and you'll see that a good arcade stick is like $200. It's expensive because it's good, but it is what it is. You know, the ones that I bought every single one that I bought on sale. If you want it for emulation, you can go online and you can buy a used Mad Cats or a used Hori for like $100. And it's not hard to find. There are many out there because people have Xbox 360 or PlayStation 3 arcade sticks that are not compatible with PlayStation 5 anymore or with the Nintendo Switch. And so they want to sell the old one to buy a new one. And that's your opportunity because if you're using a Mr. FPJ, it's going to take anything. I don't remember ever having put a controller in the Mr. FPJ that I couldn't map the buttons to. Maybe the button out of the box are all fucked up, but you can map them and then it's good. So, and especially like Xbox 360, I'm saying USB, right? Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3 is easy. Xbox 360 is X input, for Christ's sakes, like it should work out of the box like immediately. With the Mister, like with everything mapped perfectly. You just go in and play Street Fighter without messing with anything, and it should work. Um, or maybe you're forced to always. I don't remember exactly. So always map the buttons for the arcade games specifically. It's still gonna work, okay? So yeah, that's my recommendation. 100%. Absolutely, absolutely. D- you can do better than this. And again, get the Alpha, get an arcade stick. Just take a look because the Alpha doesn't take any arcade stick. Okay, I don't think it does take any arcade stick. So at that point, don't just go to eBay and buy anything for $100. Ask around in the community. I will admit, even though I am shitty towards the community, calling people stupid for buying this crap, right? Evercade does have a pretty nice community. It's pretty game focused, quite drama free, right? Uh, must be getting better, especially now that the games are also getting better. Because back when I bought the Evercade, there were only 20 cartridges out, and then new started coming out right after. Okay, and so if you look at the first, yeah, let's get the first batches. It's not all bad, right? The Namco Museum has a few good games, and the Atari collections have a lot of crap. Um, the Namco has a few good games. I mean, it's hard. These indie games here are mostly not good. Maybe this collection is the one that has Tensor, but Tensor is like the only game that's actually good in the entire collection. The others, there are some that are okay. Not everything is terrible, but Pico's not that good. Tecmos has a couple things, but nothing that amazing. These are actually very good games. Sorry, there were not 20. There were 10 games. There were these 10 when I bought mine, and then these were coming out. Xeno Crisis I did not buy for the Evercade. I bought the PC version. There is also a Mega Drive ROM, and this is another alternative that people have to be aware of. Xeno Crisis, you can, and Tanglewood, both of them. Tanglewood, if you buy the Steam version or the GOG version, one of them, you get the ROM for free. You can just download the ROM as an extra. Xeno Crisis, they don't do that, but you can buy the ROM. The problem is, if you buy the ROM for Xeno Crisis and the Tanglewood game, it's more expensive than the Evercade cartridge. So the Evercade cartridge is actually very efficient way, very cheap way of getting these games. And you have them in a physical thing with a, so that's why I think it's very easy to defend Evercade sometimes because there are some things that are actually good on the ever actually good. The best distribution for these games is the Evercade cartridge. It's the best value. You get the Mega Drive ROMs for both games plus a little manual in there and whatever, right? I didn't buy this. I bought the Tower Links 1 collection. It's crap, man. I mean, it's interesting. It's fine. Okay, you play a little bit, but it's not good. Atari Lynx, I'm sorry, but these games are not very good. I played them. They were not worth much to me. Uh, Indie Heroes 2, a lot of these games, also on the other one, a lot of these games, you go to itch.io. It's an online store and they sell ROMs, officially licensed. Right? No, it's not licensed ROM. These are indie games, right? These are homebrew games, and they get sold. And a lot of these games that you're looking at here, like Flea and whatever, they are for free on itch.io. They are free games on itch.io, and you're buying a cartridge with them. I don't mind giving these developers money, whatever, but a lot of these games they don't deserve much more than being free. They are just not very good homebrews. Others are a little bit better, but very few of these games are, I mean, none of these games are going to blow your mind. Only a few of these games are pretty decent. You still can go to itch.io, buy the ROM, and give because it's free if you want to, but you can give the developer as much as you want. I wish more people would realize that they can go and buy these games from the developer, right? You can buy Xenocrisis from the website of the developer. You can go there, you can give them $15 or something like that, and download the Mega Drive ROM. Or you can buy the PC version that runs native on PC. And it's a little bit better because instead of having the UI elements on the gameplay screen, it has on the side because it's widescreen, right? And if you're playing on widescreen, like on the Evercade, you could have that not not on top of the image. Um, whatever. Worms collection, fine. Uh, and then again, at this point, you only had like this cartridge and a couple others like the Namco that were actually strong, right? Even at this point, And then when they started getting the arcade stuff, the quality started increasing on some of the stuff that they got. And, you know, I think on the Jalico Galco, you start getting a few games. I was Awakening, I didn't like it very much. Cathedral, I don't remember if I played it. You know, this is not changing too much for me. I think Irem, yeah, has R-Type and other better games, right? And then you get two Toplan collections. I mean, to me, this is really good. This changes the entire freaking landscape for them because this is good stuff. Team 17 has good stuff too. And again, they get like larger games now, and Amiga with Out of This World and stuff like that, you know. And they started getting stuff like Duke Nukem and Demons of Vesterborg is a good game. I have it. You can buy this legally, right? You can buy the game. You don't have to steal it if you don't have an Evercade. A Duke Nukem. So again, lately they have been increasing the quality. And I don't like these old Tomb Raider games, but I mean, uh, this is a bump in quality. The average quality of the game that is inside of these cartridges has gone up a lot, right? Because before you would have these, it kind of felt crappy to have an interplay collection where you have like a couple K games and a lot of garbage. These Atari collections where you have a couple games that are actually good, and then the rest. And I mean, it's Atari. I mean, I have collections of Atari games. I mean, the on the PC, on whatever, right? On the Game Boy. I literally have Atari collections for Game Boy Color and stuff. Like, you can play this anywhere, right? We don't really need that. So I think it's getting better, and I hope it gets even better. And with more better games, the community gets bigger and the community gets better. Because as much as I crap on this, and I'm telling you the alternatives, and I'm saying you can do better, I mean, why don't you just game on PC? You know, you can just buy some of the collections. Some of them are gonna be crap, but you can buy collections of old games. You can emulate whatever doesn't work, and you can buy these indie games, these small titles. I mean, Duke Nukem is a PC game. You can play this on PC. You can play Tomb Raider on the PC. The remasters too. You can play native on PC. Maybe you need DOSBox. I don't know. I don't think it's DOS. It Windows 95. Some of these games don't really run properly, but they're probably on GOG with a wrapper that makes it run, right? I mean, you can play this stuff, but there is so much good game. There are so many good games on the PC. You can just buy PC. I don't know why people hate the PC. I have a Lenovo Legion Go. I have Steam installed in there. If you just want a console-like experience on a PC, another alternative for you, get a Steam Deck, right? The Steam Deck, yeah, sure. This game here is not gonna work. That game there is not gonna work. You have uh, some kind of trouble sometimes, but dude, it's not like there is tons of maintenance and crazy things going on all the time. Like it's fine, it works. You just stick to the stuff that is Steam Deck. Um, how do you call that? The Steam Deck. It works on the Steam Deck. That it's confirmed that it works. Just stick to that, and you have much more choice, many more games available than you have on the Evercade, right? And the experience is gonna be better. Like you wanna compare, maybe you want a smaller screen. Fine, I understand. Okay, but to me, 7.4 inch OLED screen. I don't have a Steam Deck. I'm sorry, but I'm just using my brain here because I don't have the EXP R either. But between 4.3 inches 480p screen or the 7.4-inch OLED 800p screen at 90 hertz with it's important for gaming, the variable refresh rate. I mean, that thing is amazing. The thing's amazing, and you can play legally many old games. The collections nowadays, the newer collections tend to be better, right? You can buy these. I bet the Atari games work, the Atari remade games, whatever thing, right? That's an alternative. And if you want to have a an arcade stick and play the games like that, you can plug the arcade stick into your Steam Deck. You need a charging station, whatever thing. But I mean, if that's what you're gonna do, it's easier to carry around a docking station, the Steam Deck, and an arcade stick than this freaking thing, this Alpha thing. You can put it all in a bag, and it's gonna fit better than carrying this clumsy thing around because you're still gonna have probably either a power cable or a power supply coming out here, single player. You know, get the Steam Deck, get the Lenovo, but the Lenovo Legion Go is another ballpark because it's much more expensive, and there the the trouble continues with the fact that what are you gonna do? You're gonna play Mega Man or Street Fighter. Because if you want to play both, you need to buy both of this, and by the time you're paying $500 for this, two consoles, 500 euros or $500 for these two consoles, at that point, like the ROG Ally, what's it called? ROG Ally Z1, the normal, the lower model that's less powerful, it's 400 euros right now in Europe, you know, on Amazon or on MediaMarkt. So, I mean, sure, you don't have an arcade stick with that, but when you get an arcade stick, if you choose a good one, if you get the 8 bit is not a good one, but it's better than this, and it's gonna work with the the Nintendo Switch. It's gonna work with your computer. It's gonna work with your Raspberry Pi. It's gonna work with your Evercade VS. And you have something to use. It's wireless. It's wired. You can do it, but it's flexible. It's good in that sense. It doesn't have a nice case. It doesn't have metal plates everywhere like a very high-end one. It doesn't have Sanwa buttons out of the box, like the high one stuff, the high stuff, high level stuff. Or if the Horis are not using Sanwa anymore, they use Hori buttons and sticks, but they're the same quality. The Hori Hayabusa, Harikuro stuff is just as good as any other arcade stick. A Semitsu Sanwa Hori, it's the same quality. Just a preference thing. So this is the video. It's always too long, right? But again, I don't necessarily want to bash this this behavior or this idea, right? I don't, that's not the point. I was pointing out, I'm not going to repeat myself, all the flaws that I was saying this, even inside of its own logic. Now, also, I'm bringing forward the idea that if you want to have all these aesthetic decisions, I don't think that's unreasonable, but I think it is unreasonable once the aesthetic decisions start to hurt the actual functionality of the product. When you have this thing and the 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 because of the proportions, right? The control deck is not big enough with sharp edges digging into your palms. I don't know who's designing this. Didn't you make a mock-up and play it? I don't get it. Or maybe people play arcade sticks different than I do, but I mean from the arcade sticks that I have in my collection, right? Since the Namco one for the PlayStation 1, I mean, they have a platform for your hands. Like you don't you don't hold your hands up, you let them fall onto the arcade control deck because it's more comfortable that way. I mean, I don't think it's too hard to understand the concept. You're paying $230 for a machine that plays Street Fighter, but you don't want it to play it well? I think the Street Fighter Collection, I mean, if you're talking about Street Fighter, as far as I understand, Street Fighter Collection on Steam works just fine. Not saying it's better, it's definitely not as good as the Mr. FPGA emulation of Street Fighter 2. It goes up to Alpha 2 or something like that. The Mr. FPGA stuff. I don't remember. I think it doesn't do Alpha 3. It doesn't do Street Fighter 3 because that's CPS 3. Uh, I'm pretty sure. But it does at least Alpha 2, I think. Uh, it does Turbo. It does Hyper Fighting. It does Super Turbo. So, I mean, these are the alternatives. These are my thoughts. I I don't have anything intrinsically against a bar top, right? I don't think it's a bad thing to have. I thought about getting an arcade machine or a bar top. I don't think it's bad, but I think it has to be good. It has to be something that whether it looks like an arcade machine or not, to me, it has to play like an arcade. You get what I mean? Does this here that we're looking at, does it look like an arcade machine? Yes. Does it play like an arcade machine? No. No, it doesn't play like an arcade machine. An arcade machine has a bigger screen. It has different ergonomics. The screen is higher up from the controls so that the controls are not in the way of the screen, right? Because so the screen is closer to your face than the controls. You're looking down too much. You're crouching over the thing. That's unhealthy. And if you have all this space, you could have the screen come back here, but it would look all weird, right? Well, it would look all weird, but that's the problem. The priorities are all messed up. It has to look the part first, and then whatever we can shove into that look to make it play somewhat okay, then that's what we want. That's not what I want. What I want is let's make it play the absolute best we can, and then within that, at a reasonable price, make it look as good as it's reasonable to make it look good. That is my priority, and that is why I I don't like this product specifically. Again, I'm not saying it's evil. I'm not saying you can't buy. I don't. Like, who am I to say what people can or cannot buy, right? My only problem that I had with this that I don't have anymore is the fact that I know that because people buy this, I cannot buy what I want to buy, because what I would want to buy is an Evercade Alpha that has a bigger screen, that has, you know, the screen higher up, that doesn't waste space with stuff where you don't need wasted space. All this, I would have cut all this out. Like, have it be taller like this, just to have the screen come up a little bit more and get away from the, but then cut a part of the top and make it as shallow as possible, right? As shallow as possible, because this is just wasted space. I don't need this on the back here, right? It just makes it bigger and also shorter like this, as close to the table as possible, and longer here. You can't make it too short here because these controls take space. So there's always a height here, right? But as short as possible, just clear the controls and cut it, right? That's how they make all the arcade sticks. I have a ton of them. I know what I'm talking about, right? I've opened, changed parts, done all kinds of stuff with arcade sticks. I'm not a super modder and never built an arcade machine either, but I've been using these for a decade for my arcade gaming. I was, you know, I learned to use these these arcade controllers to a point where I can't play fighting games on a pad anymore. I can't play fighting games at all because I haven't been practicing. You have to practice to be able to play. But when I play, I need an arcade stick. I can't play Street Fighter with a pad anymore. It's just crap for me. I can't do the moves. I learned the moves of Street Fighter 4 on the and then later of Street Fighter 2. I learned that on an arcade machine. And then how are arcade stick, sorry. An arcade stick, how am I gonna do them on a pad? And I would at the very least need big buttons and to claw it, but I still can't claw. It's still not enough. I can't blink. like like it just doesn't work, right? Again, this is right up my alley. I'm not saying this is something that I'm not interested because I don't like the games. I don't like the arcade, but Street Fighter, you're kidding me. Street Fighter is my bread and butter stuff. It's some of the games that I like the most. And if I'm saying I don't like this product, is it because I think it doesn't fit my needs in terms of gameplay, and I doubt my needs are so that much different than that of other people who want to play Street Fighter. Okay? So that's it. So that's my long answer to that question. It's got a mister, man. Get the mister. And it's expensive. It's unreasonably expensive. I don't know why this stuff is so expensive. I don't know why, but apparently there are people stepping up and finally going to make cheaper hardware for the Mister. I think it's possible. Oh, also handheld. I talked about Ambernick, blah 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 Ambernick. You can buy the freaking analog pocket for handheld gaming, and I'm sure the emulation on that, because it's hardware emulation, you know, is amazing. The controls are probably very good. I never bought it. Maybe I should buy it. I think it's out of stock right now, but it has been in stock. Okay, the I just think the screen is a little bit small, but at 3.5 inches, I'm pretty sure it is. It's about the same size. Once you put it 4 by 3, it's about the same size as that of the Evercade, right? So, so fine. Yeah, maybe a little bit smaller, but it's about the same size. It's not a huge difference. And that one is super high resolution, and it's again, and it doesn't play just Game Boy, of course. You have the open FPGA stuff with all kinds of games and emulators and arcade games and consoles, computers. So I'll take a look at that for sure. If you're talking about alternatives to this, that's what I would be looking at. Mr. Raspberry Pi, PC. I'm very happy with PC gaming right now. I think the Lenovo Legion Go does streamline the PC experience to me. It ends up having more pre-built in resources of things that we want to have in a gaming PC, but they do it for you because it's a handheld. It's a different market. It is a little bit closer to a console to me. It's just I'm just saying. I don't know what fits you, but yeah, Steam Deck again. Those are the alternatives, and the alternative to this is obviously just a freaking arcade stick that you put into. Oh, but I really want to play Street Fighter. Yeah, but this is also the other thing that is against the logic of this. Why can't you get a Street Fighter cartridge? Maybe it's gonna take Capcom like multiple it's not Evercade's fault, it's Capcom's fault. Maybe it's gonna take multiple years, multiple projects together until they finally cave in and and say, well, okay, you can have a Street Fighter cartridge. We put like Street Fighter Alpha, all Street Fighter Alpha in one cartridge, $25. All Street Fighter 2, uh, you know, in one cartridge, $25, whatever, right? The price of a Street Fighter collection. They could do that. So Blaze take cares of the emulation. They just need to provide the ROMs. It's ridiculous. So that would make more sense, right? But I'm sure it's not the Evercade guys who don't want to have a Street Fighter cartridge. They would die to have a Street Fighter cartridge. This is Capcom holding out on them. I hope it comes eventually for the people, for the sake of the people who want to play the Evercade, right? I hope more better games come. They're growing. I think that's a good sign. I mean, you could be afraid back a couple of years ago, like these people are gonna just fold and you're gonna have 15, 20 cartridges and that's gonna be it. That's not what happened. There are 40 cartridges now and more to come and more products coming out and refreshing stuff. And if you look for Evercade on YouTube, you see people talking about Evercade now that they made this announcement. A lot of people talked about it. That I think this is not gonna disappear too soon, apparently. I think, because what was it? There was this arcade company that just went down after a couple of years. They did their best, they couldn't survive. Evercade seems to be doing well. So it is what it is. But even though it's for me, it's not for me. Because again, I'm just too used to have actually very good stuff. Playing Street Fighter on Mister with my Hori Real Arcade Pro, it's amazing. On my gaming piece, my gaming screen, right? I have an AOC 24-inch, 144 hertz variable refresh rate, IPS 1080p screen, and then I'm gonna play on a 4-inch 480p screen. No, like why would I downgrade my Street Fighter experience when I have a setup that does it amazing? That's my problem with this stuff. I would have gotten into the legal stuff, into the you know the, the into the buying officially licensed stuff. I would have gone into that. I'm not against that, but it can't be much, much, much worse than what I already have unlicensed. And that's it. So thank you guys for watching. Keep telling me what you think. Very nice comments on the last video. I hope this one generates as much conversation. And I'll see you guys around. Goodbye.